I really, really loved that we brought out two perspectives, right? Yours was very physical driven, like fitness driven, and how that allowed you to take charge of your life. And mine was more spiritual driven, and how that allowed me to become the actor that I always wanted to be.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Break the Norm podcast, where we break free from the so-called normal and build something real, bold, and unapologetically you. I'm Ruth Solorzano, actor, producer, and living proof that you can come back from most things.
And I'm Lily Shaw, actor, mentor, creator of Shine Anyway course, and someone who's never believed in playing small. It's time to break the norm.
Together.
Hi, friends. So we are back. In the last episode, we were talking about the transformation, the process of transformation and how it changes mentally and physically. So the first step is, like you've got to create it in your head and then you've got to make it manifest in the real world. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the mental aspects of making your long-lasting transformation stick so that it actually becomes a part of your lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus just like a thought in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let's start with like the thing that really, really tripped me up when I first started, and that is the fear of success. We are so brainwashed into the fear of failure, right? Be perfectionist, work hard, do the things right, blah, 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 so that you don't fail. But there is also a very valid thing that happens when things start to work out in your favor.
Yeah.
And that is the fear of success. And I went through it when things started working out for me as an actor, where my mind started like putting up these roadblocks in my head of like, what if like it's really started catastrophizing.
Catastrophizing. That sounds right.
That sounds right?
I
Okay,
think
yeah.
so.
It started like doing this doomsday thinking of what if this went wrong and what if this went wrong? Because as I was having successes, I was being pushed out more into the real world. And my mind was being exposed. My nervous system was being exposed to things that it hadn't seen before. So
Yeah.
it was freaking out.
Yeah, and you're outside of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Right, because you're changing what your comfort zone even means to you when you're becoming successful, right?
Exactly.
Like it's shifting, everything's shifting. And for me, how that manifested was honestly my relationships. My relationships changed so much when I started attaining things that I perceive to be success, right?
Right.
I think, jealousy becomes a thing. People have their own perceptions of what they feel success is. And so if you're attaining something and maybe they want the same thing and they see you and then it just changes, it gets mucky, right? It gets kind of gross sometimes. And it sucks because you also want to put yourself first, but you also want to keep these relationships in your life. And it's just like, well, but what am I losing if I do this? But also at the same time, I do want to do this. So it's like, you're kind of confused at first, right?
Absolutely. And I think the irony of all of this is that this is where being in control of your mind plays such a huge part. Because if you have the self-awareness, if you're doing the positive inner talk, if you're taking time to meditate,
Right.
Then when the outside forces come in and they are most of the time going to be negative, your mind isn't going to automatically align to the negativity. But instead it's going to say, you know what, I think I was on that path. I like that I get to get up in the morning and do this boot camp thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like to meditate. I get that it's freaking out my peeps, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to make the choice.
And I think that awareness is where like transformation starts to take hold because of how you are relating to yourself in a new way. And I think a large part of that is also making your nervous system comfortable with the idea of doing new things.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we will talk about in much detail in one of the other episodes, because nervous system expansion and nervous system comfort is literally job one if you're attempting to do things that you have never done before.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about earlier kind of like my friend who cried when they meditated.
Right.
And that's also because their nervous system probably wasn't ready for that.
Of course.
This is something so new. This is them having to sit by themselves with their thoughts.
Yeah.
And maybe they'd never done that before. And that's a scary thing. You don't know what's in there. Sometimes what can come up out of nowhere, right?
That's the whole distraction culture right there, because people are so
Yeah.
terrified of being with themselves that they will do anything to avoid that.
Yeah. Have you heard this whole thing that like there's some people that don't have an inner voice?
No.
Yeah, apparently that's a thing. I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments. Is this a real thing? Like, do people not have inner voices? Do you not have an inner voice? Like, I'm just curious because like that just to me, like it just doesn't, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Oh my God, like that would freak me out.
But would it? Because then you wouldn't know. Like if you'd ever had one, then you didn't know. And then
that you didn't, you
so
wouldn't miss
how
what
it-
you didn't
you know,
have.
Exactly.
I think, I think it would be so.
Would it be liberating? I don't know. I'm
No,
like, is that a
no,
better side?
no.
Am I like living in the wrong place?
No,
right?
that's a poll right there. We gotta ask people.
That's what I'm
hell
saying.
no.
That's what
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
no.
But anyway, yeah, this whole fear of success is so real and it's gonna happen. But it's about kind of knowing that it's a thing and just pushing through it and like being okay with it.
And that's where, like, all of this work that we've been talking about in these episodes, I think is going to come in handy, because you don't have to get frozen in that moment, right? Like, you can, once you realize that something is tripping you up, you want to set yourself up for success by having all of these options and modalities available, right? By if you're a fitness freak, go work out. If you're you're welcome. That's your new name. If you are, into spirituality, go meditate. But surround yourself with enough tools that when you do find yourself expanding, not literally, or even literally, who cares, that you can let your body, your mind, and your nervous system grow right along with you. And I feel that I would have been a lot further in my life if I had been taught these tools in my 20s and even in my early 30s. Because I just didn't know how to manage the anxiety and the stress and the fear of success and the fear of failure.
No one teaches you.
No.
And everyone has an opinion and there's so many different and look, like I said before, like you should take everything with a grain of salt and find out what works best for you. But it's so important to figure it out. And I think one of the biggest ways that I was able to figure it out, like we said kind of before, like tapping into yourself. So during pandemic, I was pretty depressed, like many of us. And one of the things that I did was I did like nature walks, which basically meant I was just like, and I lived in New York City, okay? So like a nature walk in New York City is pretty rough. And just walking around outside and like literally looking at everything, like every leaf. And this sounds so cheesy, I know, but like looking at every leaf, looking at the birds, looking at the flowers, and just like finding like the beauty in it, finding the gratitude in it, and also staying present.
It's the thing that makes you present because it shuts your stupid mind.
Exactly. And I'm like, I'm gonna take these. I have a dog. I had a little dog, Nova. She passed away, but I had my dog, and we would go on our walks, and I would make it a point. I was like, let me not bring my headphones. Let me just be out with nature and just kind of like focus in on these little things and calm my nervous system down.
Yes.
And bring myself out of this like dark place, because it's those little things, those little moments of appreciation you can find are what is going to pave the way for you to be able to figure it out in other ways. Like you have to take those small steps before you can take big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say like, how did that help you though? Like being present, not having your headphones, because just the thought of not having your headphones freaks me out, right? I'm like, go to hike and not have my headphones, I'm gonna die, right? So
Yeah.
why? I mean, why do that?
I mean, for me, and you don't have to, but for me personally, it really just, because the headphones, I don't know, sometimes I just don't want to be connected to technology.
Yeah.
I want to be connected to the ground. I want to be connected to the earth, to the sounds, to this, like, it's just going to help me get out of my head, because even with my headphones on, I can get in my head.
Yes.
Like, even when I'm listening to a podcast or when I'm listening to music, I can easily get in my head, or you have all these other voices in my head. And rather than like actually listening to myself and knowing that it's not outside forces, it's just me. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's more calming. It was
It
in the
is.
moment, at least, you know?
And I think it's so important that you brought that up because first of all, technology more and more is being used as a tool to disconnect us from ourselves. You know, like every time, every minute of every second, every minute of every second, every minute of every day, you know, you have a short available, you have Insta, you have all of these things available so that you do not need to be present. You can live in virtual reality.
Yes.
Right? And again, the reality that you're inhabiting is not yours. It's created by someone else for you.
It's tailored too.
And it's curated.
It's 100% curated. I mean, all this stuff like that, especially now, the algorithm. Are you kidding me?
It's crazy.
They know who you are.
They do. And again, you know, it's inhabiting the outside forces. It's inhabiting someone else's world and forcing it in to make it yours. And I think being present is such an undervalued skill that just like you even like talking about that, I'm sure will trigger some people because I'm supposed to stop listening right now and look at like this light in front of me, look at this table in front of me. Like just the thought of doing that is such a potent, like soul activating exercise and also the activation of your inner self and your inner talk that it is frightening. It is frightening because we don't know what our mind is we don't know what our soul is going to say to us. We're so used to hearing what the mind says, but the soul, the heart, that shit is scary.
Yeah.
So being present with your own thoughts and then having the awareness to shut down those thoughts so you can listen to your heart, that is the essence of transformation, and that is the beginning of magic, even if you don't believe in it.
She got me there.
That is how we do it on this channel.
It's so true. And it's weird because I just started doing it. And one thing I did do during those walks was I would take like pictures. I would take pictures of like the plants, and I would take pictures of the flowers, and I would take pictures of just and that's a way for me to help me also be present in the way where I'm really looking at this thing, and I'm really like looking at how the light hits it, and really looking at the intricacies and like the little things that make them. It's so funny because I went on a walk with my friend one time, and they were like, "You always point out nature stuff." And I was like, I know. Does not everybody does that?
Not everyone.
Yeah. You know, but I do. And I just like, I love it. And it's given me such an appreciation for everything, for the world, for what's around us. And I think that also matters. Like, you really have to have this like love for yourself and for your community and for the things around us that like make the world the beautiful place that it is.
And that is such a like, first of all, just that putting this one thought out into the world right now in this moment is going to make such a huge difference in how the world is operating, because we're so surrounded by negativity that just having one positive thought tends to make a difference. Yes, we get woo woo, but I'm telling you, like, it makes a difference because it's a totality in the cumulative. I can't talk today.
Cumulative?
Cumulative. Cumulative?
Cumulative.
Cumulate.
You got it.
It is the
Collective
total
things.
collective. There, thank you, thank you for rescuing me. I got the word.
You got it.
And now it's gonna stick in my head. Yeah, but it's that totality of thoughts. And as you were speaking, I was reminded of this quote by Deepak Chopra, who says, "The best use of mind is creativity. The worst use of mind is anxiety." So just by doing that, just by appreciating your community and having gratitude, you have actually given your mind a new task where it's now busy creating something good and positive instead of doomsday thinking, instead of thinking and imagining worst case scenarios. And that is such an important step of like taking control of your narrative. Because from this point on, when you have now taken the step to connect to yourself, you can now start changing how you talk to yourself, right?
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, like this is again something that I experienced in my life, that you don't even, like you were just saying, like you don't even know that these aren't your thoughts because
Right.
you're so used to hearing some
so used
other
to it.
people that, and this step of being present, of actually taking your mind out for a walk and letting it be quiet is actually the thing that's going to then open the door for you to go, huh, what are my thoughts? What do I feel about nature? Do I like sunsets or do I hate sunsets? These people don't even know what their basic likes and dislikes and choices are.
Right.
And all of those choices can come out of this kind of like mental space. And there is actually a spiritual term for it, which is called that the reality actually happens in the space between thoughts.
Right. Yes.
Right?
I mean, that's an acting thing. That it is. I mean,
It is.
it's not about like what you're saying. It's about how you're reacting. It's
Reacting.
the space between the moments. It's,
Right.
It's all about like what's going on there, and we're losing that as a society. I look at kids and look, like I sound like such a millennial, but I look at kids and they're just like on their phones on TikTok scrolling all day, and they're literally like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, what is that doing to their brain to never be bored?
Or to never know what it means to like hear yourself. These kids are not
Right.
really going to know, do I like to paint? Do I like to draw?
Yeah.
Do I like to dance? They don't know because they just know how to scroll and live in someone else's curated world.
Right.
And that is the essence of mental transformation, right? It is the process of taking control of your mind and make it work for you.
Yes, which is just the best feeling.
and makes you feel so strong, right?
It makes you feel empowered.
Oh my God. Because for the first time, you learn, hey, I like this, and hey, I don't like this. And it also gives you, again, this is me sharing my life of like, it gave me the power and the voice to say, you know what? I think I'm going to hang back and not go out clubbing tonight. That kind of thing. And saying, you know what, I think I'm going to not spend the extra $100 that I can't really afford to spend. And I'm going to order, and I'm going to not order out. I'm just going to eat at home. Even those tiny little bit decisions come from when you start taking control of your mind.
Yeah.
And start putting it in the direction of towards your dreams, towards your purpose, towards your desires.
Yeah, that's taking your power back.
Oh,
right? I mean,
yes.
that's what that is. It's
That's
taking
what it
your
is.
power back. It's not allowing society or like these other factors in this world to be in control of what you do. It's you taking control of what you do and you making that decision rather than, the fucking commercial, the fucking Burger King commercial making the decision for you.
The fuck me commercials.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Paris Hilton
different
fuck me
podcast. Different podcast. Yeah, I mean, and I mention this a lot, but community and other things. I mean, other things play a factor. Like, for example, I mentioned my dog earlier, Nova. R.I.P. I love her. She was the first. She was my emotional support animal, and people talk about emotional support animals all the time. Like, they get the certification so they can get it on the plane and blah, blah, blah. But the thing about animals and the thing that I loved about her was she, like made me feel safe, and she made me feel like I had this thing that was on me that wasn't really wanting anything from me except for love. And that in itself is just like such a mental shift because it feels like everybody else just wants something out of you.
Yeah.
And for like an animal to just show you like they're just like this creature, and she like would sit on my lap, and I wouldn't feel violated, and I would feel just this like pure
love.
Pureness,
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. And I know you're not a dog person, but like with any animal, looking for outside factors like that, I think can really help you on your journey to finding that mental shift. Because it doesn't like we say this on the show all the time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifestyle change. It's a thing that you have to do. And there's so many tools that you have at your disposal, so many coping mechanisms, and the nature walks, the emotional support animal, like all of these things like factor into making a better way for you to like change your mind, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right because this is the step, right? This is job one, day one, job one kind of thing of, well, how do I start the process of transformation, right? I am ready to make the change. I want to be a different person, which, you and I both experienced that in our lives, right? We were like, we're kind of done relating with our family. We don't hate them, but we also don't want to be like them. In my case, like, yes, I have a certain part of the family that I want nothing to do with, but you can recognize, and it's also called, I think this process of individualization is what I think it's called, where you start to recognize that while you are a part of a community, you're also part of you're also an individual. And I think no, latching onto that part of you, latching onto that inner voice, higher self, intuition, mind, and then using it consciously to create the world that you want to live in. Whether that's your dreams, whether that is, like we were earlier talking about work-life balance, whether that is manifesting, actively manifesting, leading yourself from faith and not by sight. All of that happens not overnight, and the mind, believe me, will play tricks on you. But that is the first step of creating this long-lasting change that allows you to become the creator and the author of your life.
What's your takeaway?
Mine?
Yeah, what's your takeaway?
My
After talking
takeaway.
about transformation, I mean, we've been talking about transformation
3
the past
episodes.
few episodes, right? Like what's the biggest thing that's like stuck out with you?
I think, first of all, I really, really loved that we brought out two perspectives, right? Yours was very physical driven, like fitness driven, and how that allowed you to take charge of your life. And mine was more spiritual driven, and how that allowed me to become the actor that I always wanted to be, right? And yet, it was both driven by the fact that we did not identify with the old paradigm that our families were presenting to us. And I think that for me is the takeaway of this conversation, that you have to be connected enough either to your desires, to your purpose, your intention, or even your misery, I'm sorry to say, which, I think it was the case for the both of us, that we said, I'm done living this misery. What else is out there? Is there something better in the world that I can go and find out?
Right.
And I think when you tap into that moment, that is literally you tapping into your moment of transformation.
Yeah, I mean, I think to piggyback on that, connecting with your values too.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
What do you really value? Like really taking the time to sit with yourself and think about that.
And I think that's where those nature walks come in handy.
Yeah.
Because that is when your mind will be quiet and you'll be able to go, I hate this and I don't hate that.
Yeah, exactly. Like what's the thing, Can you write it down? Like are there maybe in the comments, like what do you value? What are the things that make you want to get up? What's the first thing that like excites you?
Excites you, yes.
You know?
The thing that gets you out of bed every morning, and what action can you take,
Yeah.
right? One small action that you can take today to make it manifest from your mind into the real world.
Exactly. Yeah. I think writing it down, even just writing it down, the simple thing. If you don't want to write it down, don't write it down. Get your phone out and voice record it. I have to say, one of my best tricks, and this is, my mom's husband taught me this, literally, because he had thumb surgery, so he doesn't use his thumbs that much for
Oh my
texting.
God.
So he's like, voice memo. I voice memo everything. And I'm just like, voice memo it, like find the simplest way, because you're always going to have an excuse not to do it, right? So why not make it easy on yourself? Why not find the simple way to do it? With me, with going to the gym and the losing weight, simple way, I threw money at the problem and I lived really close to a place that I could work out. So like find those simple things, and money is not simple, but but find those ways.
Well, it was simple for you.
It was simple for me at the time.
Exactly.
So if that's simple for you at the time, do it.
Exactly.
And find what works for you because it's not linear, that's for sure.
I mean, I'll tell you this, like I've never been in a situation where I've had an abundance of money, and yet I've always been able to manage money and create money for myself when I've needed it.
Yeah.
So I don't think like we need to like make it like just because it's complicated. Again, this is the whole right us versus them mentality, right? Just because money is complicated for the world doesn't mean it's got to be complicated for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It can be the easiest thing in the world for you.
Stay tuned. We are going to interview
Yes.
someone about money, mental shifts with money, because that's important. But yeah, I think
we're good.
I think we're good.
We are feeling complete
Yeah.
with our conversation
Go
today.
transform yourself.
Yeah. Go be a transformer.
Not the Transformers.
Not the Transformers.
Or the Transformers. All right.
We're never
good.
too far from the world of the movies.
That's so true. Next time on Break the Norm podcast.
Because we all know life is better when you have good people on your team that are hyping you up, cheering you on, helping you problem solve and brainstorm, and most importantly, really acting as portals to all of the incredible aligned opportunities that you could ever want in your life.
Thank you for tuning in today's episode of Break the Norm.
We want to give a very special shout out to the team that's making this podcast possible. SCV Studios, our editor, Eileen Hanley.
Our producer, music and sound recording, Hugo Fowler.
And before we leave, we ask people to subscribe and leave us a review. We are everywhere you listen to your podcast. And that's it. We'll be back, right? We're done?
We'll be back.